Hi, I'm Jed Herne, author of the upcoming fantasy novella Fires of the Dead, and this is Daily Writing Advice. So I'm currently going through second draft edits of my fantasy novel, Masks of Steel. Kind of interesting how I've gone about this. I'm just writing feedback as I read through it initially. I'm probably about 60% of the way through my initial read through, and I've already got over 20,000 words of feedback, so I may have given myself a bit more than I can chew here, but regardless, it has given me a lot of great lessons, and I want to share with you one of those lessons that I've learned today. So, when it comes to stories, the fundamental unit is change. A character should be a different person to the end than they are at the start. Otherwise, what was the point of us witnessing their journey? Not much point, right? So one of the ways that I like to quantify this, and one of the things that I'm doing in my edits, is at the end of every chapter, at the end of my dot point notes for that chapter, I would write down a yes or no answer to the following question. Was there a value shift in this chapter? Was there a value shift in this chapter? So what I mean by a value shift is, was there a change in the emotional state of the story comparing the beginning of the chapter to the end? So if at the beginning of the chapter, the main character thought they were safe and were living an idyllic life, and then at the end of the chapter, they were getting chased by a bunch of people with swords, there's been a value shift there from peace to violence. Or you could maybe simplify and abstract that further and say there's been a value shift from life to death. Obviously not literal death, although that might be the case, but the character has moved closer to death than they were at the beginning of that chapter. So by constantly asking myself this question at the end of every scene, at the end of every chapter, it forces me as an author to carefully evaluate if something has actually changed. Because it's very easy, and this is something that I did a lot in my earlier stories, it is very easy to just have a chapter where the character sort of just broodingly sinks into their own mind and thinks about all the things they're struggling with and maybe stares out at an ocean. And after 3,000 words of that, we close the chapter, and you as an author are like, yes, I am so good at prying into my character's internal mind, but really, nothing happened. Like, there was no point to that chapter. Nothing really changed from the beginning of the chapter to the end of it. But if you can have value shifts and make sure that things are changing in terms of the emotional experience of the story, it's going to guarantee that your story has plot progression, that things are moving forward, that your characters are evolving and changing. Maybe not for the better, maybe not necessarily for the worse, but they are just changing, and that is the reason why we want to follow their journey. So, that is our episode. If you enjoyed this, please go ahead and subscribe. New episodes come out every single weekday. I'll see you next time. Bye.